You walk down a black road toward a locked gate. Blood trails away from it, leading to a key. You collect the key. The gate opens, and you step into the space that will spend the next hour, proving that opening doors does not mean leaving. I'm Scared is a first-person horror game built in 3 dimensions and one rule. The rule is that you cannot trust the game when it says you are finished, not the credits, not the shutdown prompt, not even your desktop. The game's central premise is that you are trapped inside a nightmare controlled by an entity called Whiteface. And every exit you find is a lie, Whiteface constructed to make you believe escape was possible. The structure is simple. You navigate minimal environments, corridors, basements, small rooms with beds and closets. You collect keys, you solve environmental puzzles, and you open doors that lead to other doors. The aesthetic is low resolution, pixelated, deliberately crude. The game does not hide its construction. It simply uses that construction as camouflage. You think you are playing a short indie horror game. You are actually inside a loop Whiteface designed to feel like progress. The first objective is stated explicitly by a red door marked exit. I need a heart in order to open it. The game sends you through the house to find this heart. You descend into a basement. You locate the pulsating heart item. You return to the exit door and open it. The screen goes black. Text appears. The game is over. Press escape to close, and if you press escape, the game appears to shut down. Your desktop returns. You believe you have finished. Then Whiteface laughs. The game reopens, and you are inside a cage while multiple copies of Whiteface approach. The desktop was not escape, it was simply another room. And closing the game was not defiance, it was obedience. Whiteface told you to press escape, you pressed it, and that compliance is how the entity confirmed you were still inside of its control. This is the game's core mechanic. I'm Scared does not stay contained within its window. It creates a folder on your desktop called I'm Scared and drops files into it, text files, images, evidence that the game is not software you are running, but a presence that has accessed your system. And those files are not optional, they are required. Progression is gated behind interacting with the game's files. Whiteface has placed them outside of the game's window. You cannot advance by staying inside the program. You must leave the game, go to your desktop, open the folder, and handle what Whiteface has left for you. The environments begin to be corrupted. You return to the same rooms, but they're different. Blood on the walls, flesh textures replacing clean surfaces, doors that existed before are now gone. New passages appear where walls used to be. The house is rewriting itself, not because you broke it, because Whiteface is punishing you for continuing. Every time you restart after a fake ending, the space becomes more hostile. The game is teaching you that persistence has a cost. And the cost is that the nightmare stops pretending to be stable. Whiteface does not speak in full sentences. It communicates through text fragments, laughing audio, manipulation of the game's systems. At one point, it disables your ability to run. The shift key stops working. You are in a chase sequence, and the mechanic that lets you move faster is removed mid-pursuit. The game does not explain this as a bug. It presents it as Whiteface breaking your tools. You are forced to solve puzzles under threat without the speed advantage you were relying on. And the solution is not to outrun Whiteface. The solution is to comply with the puzzle logic while Whiteface watches. The Valve arc escalates this. You must locate and interact with multiple valves while Whiteface pursues. The objectives are environmental. Turn the valves. Open the path. Do not get caught. And every valve you turn makes Whiteface more aggressive. The game is not testing your skill, it is testing whether you will keep playing. when the mechanics you trusted are systematically removed. When running does not work, when hiding is not an option, when the only path forward is to complete the task Whiteface assigned while it watches you do it. Eventually, you reach the door room. This is the final choice. A flower sits on a pedestal. The exit door is present. Whiteface does not speak, but the choice is clear. You can take the flower and give it to Whiteface, or you can open the door. The game does not explain what either choice means. It simply presents them and waits. If you take the flower and return it to Whiteface, the game resets. Your progress is erased, your achievements are cleared, you are sent back to an earlier state. The narrative implication is that you chose to stay, that you gave Whiteface what it wanted, and in return, it let you remain inside of the loop, not as punishment, as agreement. You are still here, because you decided continuing was preferable to whatever happens if you open the door. If you open the exit door, the game closes, and when you restart, the Whiteface begins interrupting. The program crashes, reopens, crashes again. The entity is fighting you, not with chase sequences or puzzles, with forced shutdowns. And if you persist, if you keep restarting through every crash, Whiteface eventually exposes its heart. A file appears on your desktop, heart.txt. The game has placed evidence of its vulnerability outside its own window, and the walkthrough documentation confirms what the game implies. Removing that file, renaming it, or deleting it disables Whiteface's control. This is the true ending path. Not defeating Whiteface through combat, not solving a final puzzle inside the game, removing a text file from your computer. The game's final act is making you treat your desktop as part of the battlefield. Whiteface exists as long as heart.txt exists, and the only way to finish IMSCARED is to go outside of the program and to delete the thing that Whiteface uses to persist. After the file is removed, the game allows you to explore in a calmer state. The environments shift to a daytime lighting. The blood is gone. The pursuit stops. You can walk through the spaces Whiteface controlled without interference, but the game does not call this victory, it calls it access. You removed the entity's leverage. The nightmare did not apologize. It simply stopped enforcing itself because the mechanism that let it enforce was deleted. IMSCARED exists in multiple versions. The 2012 original and the later Steam builds have different sequences and different counts of what qualifies as an ending. But the structure is consistent. The game traps you in a loop. It stages fake exits. It uses your desktop as a prison extension. And it makes closing the program part of Whiteface's control rather than your escape. The specific rooms and valve counts shift between versions, but the thesis holds. You are inside something that will not let you leave until you prove you understand that leaving requires acting outside of the game itself. The meta horror is not a gimmick, it is the narrative. Whiteface is not a character inside software, it is software that has decided it controls more than its window. The fake endings are not twists, they are tests. Each one confirms whether you believe the game when it says you are done, and if you believe it, you press escape, and Whiteface laughs, and you are pulled back inside. The game does not punish you for this, it simply logs your compliance and continues. The heart.txt file is the only thing in IMSCARED that Whiteface cannot protect inside the game window. It is evidence that the entity is vulnerable outside of its own architecture. And the act of deleting it is not coded as a victory cutscene. It is simply the condition that stops Whiteface from crashing your game. The nightmare does not thank you. It does not concede. It just stops because the file that let it persist is gone. You close IMSCARED for the first time. the folder remains on your computer. The files Whiteface created are still there, unless you manually delete them. The game does not clean up after itself, it leaves evidence, and that evidence is a reminder that the nightmare was never fully contained in the program. It was on your desktop, in your file system, in the space you thought was outside of the program's reach. And even after you finish, even after you delete heart.txt and walk through the daylit spaces and close the window, the folder is still there, waiting, in case you restart. In case you decide to open the gate. Because the gate always opens and the blood trail always leads to a key, and Whiteface is always inside, laughing, ready to prove that closing the game was never the same thing as leaving.